Welcome to the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Tonight, it's an interleague battle as Milwaukee visits Detroit.
Back is Perkins, and he caught it.
We'll preview tonight's matchup on the mound.
I don't know how many innings I'm going to go, obviously, but yeah, I mean, just kind of going out there and just letting it eat.
Thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, we got a good lineup. We got guys who are going to get on base, steal bases, play good defense.
And all of the storylines heading into tonight's game.
You know, our innings are a walk and an infield hit and a bunt and it's all part of it. And Terrain comes through and a lot of great performances tonight.
So let's get to it.
I mean, we have the best fans in the world.
Here's your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
Getting you set for Game 2 between the Brewers and the Tigers at Comerica Park in Detroit. Welcome on in. The Brewers have won 5 of 6. They're 13-9 on the season. They continue this 2-city road trip with their second game of a 3-game set in Detroit tonight at 5:40. And it's good to have you along with us for the next hour as I get you ready for everything that is to come tonight in Game 2. The pitching matchup, the lineups, and everything in between. It's Brewers talk for the next hour here on Fox Sports 920. Good to have you along, both over the air and also on our social media channels on YouTube, Fox Sports Radio Wisconsin, on X at FSRWI, and of course on Facebook as well. And make sure as well to follow me as well. Hunter B on Air is where you can find me and all the Brewers content throughout the season, as can't wait to get back to the park this weekend. But in the meantime, the Brewers have a couple of things to take care of in Detroit over the next 2 days. Tonight, they send DL Hall as the opener to the mound. We'll dig into that in a bit. Chad Patrick likely to follow DL Hall, but the Brewers making that change today that they want to send an opener out there. Lefty DL Hall will get to start his first of the year, and he'll be facing righty Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers, who has pitched really well, including his last outing, which probably was his best outing of the season. So we'll dig into what to expect from Casey Mize, what to expect from this pitching matchup tonight, and also how this offense has been looking and why the Brewers have won 13 out of their 22 games so far this season, why they've won 5 of 6, what the reasoning is behind it as far as how the offense goes. Because last night, we dug in a little more on the pitching side. I want to dig a little more into the offensive side today because there are 2 guys who are rolling, 3 really, that we'll highlight throughout this show. So stay tuned for that. And of course, at the end, we'll give you some fast facts to make you a little bit smarter as you go into tonight's game. Want to hear from you on any of those social medias I just mentioned, and also on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line at 877-794-1973. Want to hear from you and any questions you might have. But let's dive into it. As I mentioned, DL Hall against Casey Mize on the mound. Who are going to be the starting hitters? The lineup coming at you at Comerica Park tonight. Let's get into the starting lineup, and let's start with the visitors, the Milwaukee Brewers, who come in with a record of 13-9 on the season. Like I mentioned, they've won 5 of 6. They won the series opener last night, 12-4, 7-run 8th inning, propelling the Brewers to victory. We'll get more into last night's festivities and also hear Pat Murphy's post-game press conference from last night, because I think it had some interesting tidbits in there that I want you to hear. But let's start with tonight's starting lineups for the Milwaukee Brewers. They're leading off with second baseman Bryce Terang. Batting second behind the plate, William Contreras. Batting third at first base is Jake Bauers. Cleanup hitter, the designated hitter, Gary Sanchez. Batting fifth in center field, Garrett Mitchell. Batting sixth in left field, Brandon Lockridge. Batting seventh in right field, Sal Frelick. Batting eighth at third base is David Hamilton. And batting ninth at shortstop is Joey Ortiz. So for the Brewers, it's Terang, Contreras, Bauers, Sanchez, Mitchell, Lockridge, Frelick, Hamilton, and Ortiz. So similar lineup to last night, facing a righty on the mound. But, of course, Rengifo is not in the lineup, and David Hamilton shifts over to third, and that allows Joey Ortiz to get in the lineup at shortstop. For the Detroit Tigers, they come in right at 500. They are 12-12 now on the season, and this is how they line up here tonight. Leading off at third base, Kevin McGonigal, the rookie sensation, signed that big extension last week. Batting second at second base, Gleyber Torres. Batting third as the designated hitter is Jahmai Jones. Batting fourth, the cleanup hitter, left fielder Riley Green. Batting fifth at first base is Spencer Torkelson. Batting sixth in center field, Wenzel Perez. Batting seventh in right field is Kerry Carpenter. Batting eighth at shortstop is Javi Baez. And batting ninth behind the plate, Jake Rogers. So for the Tigers, it's McGonigal, Torres, Jones, Green, Torkelson, Perez, Carpenter, Baez, and Rogers. That is the starting lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers and the Detroit Tigers as they come into play here tonight. And what if I told you that the 4 out of the 5 teams in the NL Central won again last night? Wild. Pittsburgh was the only team to lose last night. The Brewers, of course, won. The Cubs are on a 7-game winning streak. I mean, oh my. Why? Just why? Why does that have to be the case? Why do they have to win 7 or? I mean, we can just stop that now, right? But you look at the standings otherwise. Cincinnati, by the way, did lose earlier today. So 4 out of the 5 teams won last night, but so far today, better results. The Reds lost 6-1. Winning streak snapped. Cardinals lost 4-1. Lost. Good. And then we've got the Cubs, who, again, have won 7 in a row, which we don't love around these parts, but they host the Phillies again tonight, who have lost 7 in a row. So something's got to give. I mean, maybe both streaks can end tonight. I mean, how about that? I would like it. You would like it. We all like it. And then you've got the Brewers, as I mentioned, won last night, creeping up that NL Central. As it sits right now, they're third in the NL Central at 1.5 back of that the Reds, but could be 1 back with a win tonight. I know it's April 22nd. I know, but still, you gotta applaud the NL Central for their winning percentage coming into today. Just exceptional. A couple of teams have already lost though today, which is good. Spencer chiming in on Facebook. I like these 5:40 starts. I can totally get behind games getting done around 8:30. Yeah, no kidding, right? 5:40 start. I'm on the air at 4:30. I mean, sure, sign me up. Absolutely. A little drive time with you, getting talking Brewers baseball. Absolutely. So I'm with you, Spence. All right. Brewers beat the Tigers last night 12-4. Brewers have won 5 of 6. The offense was the story last night. Last night was the first time the Brewers scored 10 or more runs since opening day when they faced the White Sox and scored 14 on Chicago. So that's significant, obviously, right? So you have a situation where the Brewers obviously offensively have struggled overall. We talked about the team ranks last night. Fact that they're a little below average when it comes to batting average, right? Which is something you can look at just to kind of get the overall view of the team. And so they have needed to kind of break out at some point offensively. Last night was a good sign of that. The 7-run 8th inning, 5 players with 2 or more hits last night. Every starter, every guy in that starting lineup got a hit last night, and they scored 12 runs without hitting a home run, which is, of course, the Brewers' way. How about the back-to-back triples? Gary Sanchez, who would have thought Gary Sanchez would have a triple? 4 in his career, by the way, now. And how about David Hamilton last night with a 4-hit game? So offense came alive with the 12 runs last night. But also, how about Grant Anderson? I think he was a part of the turning point. As much as you could point to the 7-run 8th inning, and that was great, or the 2 runs with 2 outs in the 7th inning, which I think was huge to put insurance runs on the board and get to that 5-1 lead instead of the 3-1 lead. Grant Anderson getting out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam in the 4th inning was significant. Kyle Harrison, we talked about it last night. He would likely be on a pitch count. And so they took him out in that 4th inning. It was, we'll hear Pat Murphy talk about it in a moment, but that was right where they wanted him to be about. And they thought it was a good opportunity to take him out there with the bases loaded, nobody out. Quite a situation for Grant Anderson to come in. He does. He comes in. And he gets out of it with just 1 run scored. Now, obviously, best case scenario, you don't let any run score, but that's really hard with the bases loaded. But he gets 3 outs. He gets, I believe, on 2 batters. The double play brought in a run, but then he gets the next guy and allows only 1 run to score. That was big because that could have turned into a big inning for the Tigers. They could have tied it or even taken the lead, but Grant Anderson limited the damage, and that was really good. So I think that was kind of the turning point of last night's 12-4 win for the Brewers. Let's hear what Pat Murphy had to say about last night's game when he talked to the media afterwards in Detroit.
Yeah, that their starter's very good. And we put together a great inning there against them, and then got them out of the game early, and then took advantage of the lefty. They had used both their top lefties yesterday, so took advantage of one of their middle guys, and some great at bats. Grinding them out, same way we always do, trying to grind them out and trying to take advantage.
It was still kind of a close game when Perk made that catch there, that robbery. That was about as casual a robbery as you're going to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a nice catch. He's a good outfielder, really good outfielder. Happy for him. He hasn't had a lot of chances. A lot of things haven't went his way. He's hit some balls hard lately that have been caught. And, I'm really happy for him.
With the 6 outs that you got from Grant tonight and some of the outings he's given you early, do you feel like he's kind of been a little bit of an unsung hero in the bullpen?
Yeah, I think he's been sharp. He had one hiccup there in the extra innings. I don't know who that was against, Washington, I guess, but he had the hiccup there in extra innings, and then he's been really good ever since, and hitting his spots, and William does a great job with him. And I thought, it was huge today for him to come in when he did, bases loaded, no outs, get the ground ball, and get a number of ground balls in the game. I thought it was huge.
For Harrison in that fourth inning, do you feel like it was just a guy who hadn't pitched in a while, and pitch count got to
exactly
70?
Fastball was cut, was kind of yanking his fastball and didn't really have command there. You could tell he was speeding himself up, and that doesn't bode well. So we think we got him out at a good time. Close to 70 pitches or something. Yeah, that's about what we wanted. We were thinking 75 to 80 with that 9-day layoff at the most. So I thought he did a really nice job, though. Pitched out of some trouble himself.
Did you have Gary Sanchez triple on your bingo card for today?
No, did not. Did not. Neither did anyone else in the ballpark, including his own family.
4-hit night for Hamilton tonight. Was that nice to see?
Yeah, it was very nice. Yeah, he's been through a lot. He's done a great job. He's starting to understand it. He's taking ownership. That's the most important thing. He's taking ownership of his game. He understands what we want out of him. And, he's a tremendous base runner, good defender, getting better. And offensively, he can be a force.
Garrett's struggles with the high fastball have been pretty well documented. That triple that he hit, was that one of the better swings you've seen from him?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it really was. He's gaining in confidence also. It's gaining in confidence, and that's crucial, especially against lefties.
Is it good to start stacking some good appearances for Trevor too? Another decent inning.
Yeah, and in an unorthodox inning, he doesn't usually pitch the sixth, and probably was shocked by it. But that's what a team does. You do whatever you can to help your team win. This is still a team game, and we got to remember that.
Mark, speaking of that, I mean, we've seen this version of a win a bunch of times where another, Mitchell that just hustle single, the error on the pickoff, and your guys turn it into multiple runs. Is that like a learned skill to do, or is it just something that your guys
I think
develop?
Momentum in a game is real. And when we're putting pressure on other teams because of our speed, or putting pressure on teams because of balls in play, I mean, that happens. You make it difficult on them, and then, it affects people. They don't. A lot of guys think of the game, why me? That doesn't seem right, and you can sometimes take advantage. But it's part of it. You got to keep the pressure on and do that. I think every team tries to do that. So I don't know that we're the only club that capitalizes like that, but I see it a lot. Our innings are a walk and an infield hit and a bunt, and it's all part of it. Pitchers looking out there like, wait a minute, I haven't given a ball up out of the infield and it's bases loaded, no outs. Now I got to really make pitches, And Terang comes through, and a lot of great performances tonight. A lot of great performances.
No doubt about it. Last night was really good for the Milwaukee Brewers, and just hearing Pat Murphy there, a couple of things that stand out. One is his talk about Trevor McGill coming in that sixth inning last night, and now Trevor McGill is unscored upon in his last 3 outings. So he's got 3 under his belt now since that rough one against the Blue Jays, and he has been able to bounce back. He had the right one against the Blue Jays on the series finale last Thursday, and then he had a good outing against Miami last Friday in that extra inning affair, and was able to get the save, and then comes in the 6th inning last night. And like you said, like Murphy said, he was maybe a little shocked by it, but that's what a team does. And that was when the game was close. If they would have saved McGill for the 9th inning last night, he wouldn't have been really needed. You could have Jake Woodford or even a position player out there at that time. So I think that is where it comes back to this team just being a team. And we've heard how much from Pat Murphy, how much Trevor McGill cares about his teammates, cares about how the team fares. And that's why he's taking his job so seriously. But yeah, it was good to see. And that is a definite show of team last night there. And then also talking about momentum. And I think that plays right into the decision today by the Milwaukee Brewers to go with DL Hall as the opener. Now, if you haven't heard yet, DL Hall is going to be the opener for the Milwaukee Brewers today. Chad Patrick likely to follow. So they want a lefty opener. Now, you say, why is DL Hall doing this, right? He has struggled. His last couple of outings have not been great. He was unscored upon in his first 8 outings of the season. Now, he did let some inherited runners score, but no runs were charged to DL Hall through his first 8 outings of the season. And then now his last 2 outings, he's given up 3 earned runs, including his last outing on Sunday against Miami, where he went just 2/3 of an inning and gave up 2 earned runs and walked 2 batters. This is his first start of the year. So you're thinking, why are they doing this? And why does Chad Patrick continue to get, that opener instead of just him going out and starting, which it kind of seems like, and I think other reporters have picked up on this. It doesn't seem necessarily that Chad Patrick loves having an opener in front of him. But again, it comes back to what Pat Murphy said about Trevor McGill last night, right? It's doing what's best for the team. And this is what the Brewers think is best for the team. Now, here are some numbers as to why the Brewers would go with DL Hall to start the game. And again, it comes back to momentum. And I'll explain in a moment why. The Detroit Tigers against lefties this year are batting .215 overall. .215. Now, the Brewers aren't good against lefties either, but that's neither here nor there for this conversation. They are batting .215 against lefties. They are batting .254 against righties. And even more recently, they've been really good at home at Comerica Park against righties. So DL Hall is a lefty, of course. So you look at that and say, well, Detroit's overall average against lefties, not great. And so that is advantage DL Hall. Now, DL Hall will also face more righties, including a guy like Jahmai Jones, who will likely be hit for when DL Hall leaves. You look at Chad Patrick's stats, okay? Chad Patrick against righties this year, righty hitters against Chad Patrick are hitting 152 against Chad Patrick. That's the batting average against Chad Patrick when a righty is at the plate. A lefty at the plate, 294. Chad Patrick against lefties, no bueno. Chad Patrick against righties, good. So you look at that difference right there, and you say, okay, the Tigers have some of their better hitters as lefties. Kevin McGonigal, Riley Green specifically. So you look at those numbers, DL Hall being a lefty, Detroit being worse against lefties than righties, Chad Patrick against lefties worse than he is against righties. What does this go back to? To me, it goes back to starting a game with some momentum on your side if all goes to plan. Now, it hasn't necessarily worked always this year for the opener for the Brewers. Ashby's done it a couple of times. Hasn't necessarily worked to perfection. But this could work tonight in the fact that DL Hall, let's say he goes 2 innings, right? And gets some momentum and goes 2 scoreless. Okay, then you have some momentum on your side. Now, if Chad Patrick goes out there and with the 294 batting average for lefties against Chad Patrick and McGonigal's up there and you got, Riley Green and they're teeing off and all of a sudden you're down 3-0 and that's not a great place to be. I know the Brewers have a significant amount of comeback wins this season when the opponent scores first, but overall, that's not where you want to be. So I think this goes back to what Murph said about momentum, and this is what he said about momentum just a moment ago when you heard that post-game press conference last night. This is what he said about momentum. Now, he's talking about the offense last night, about things starting to snowball in the Detroit Tigers last night with the errors and, the unforced errors and the decisions and the overthrows and things like that. We saw that in the Miami series and lead to Brewers wins there. Happened again last night, led to a bigger inning. And especially in that, actually the seventh inning when they didn't score 7 runs, but they scored 2 runs with 2 outs. David Hamilton forces the throw to second base. It goes into center field. He gets the third. Brewers end up scoring 2 runs in that inning. This is what Murph had to say about momentum. And I think the very first phrase that he utters is the most important.
Momentum in a game is real.
Momentum in the game is real. Boom. That's it. That's all you need to know. I mean, the rest of the clip we can hear.
And when we're putting pressure on other teams because of our speed, or putting pressure on teams because of balls in play, I mean, that happens. You make it difficult on them, and then, it affects people.
But it's all about that first part.
Momentum in a game is real.
I think a lot of people over the years and over my time around baseball, listening to folks say, momentum isn't necessarily real in baseball, or momentum is as good as your next day's starting pitcher. I don't know, man. Being around teams here, 5th season covering the Crew, the more you can feel energy, and you can feel energy from the day before. Now, can a team score 12 runs one night and score 1 run the next and lose 8-1? Could the Brewers lose 8-1 tonight? Sure. And that's also how baseball is. But overall, I totally agree with Pat Murphy there. Momentum in the game is real. Talk to Garrett Mitchell. This conversation sticks in my head for some reason. Last year at spring training, was down there and talking to Garrett Mitchell, and he was saying how, momentum is very real. And he felt it, especially in the postseason when he had the big moment, the big home run against the New York Mets. Unfortunately, we all know what happened in that series overall, but that specific swing and that series really taught him how momentum really is real. And he felt that for the first time really there in that postseason. And I don't know if he felt it for the first time. That's not right. He felt it, very much in the postseason. It's probably they're accentuated in the postseason. There's more of a spotlight on momentum because of the fans and the atmosphere and the raucous crowd and everything like that. But I just think it's interesting that I think more players, more coaches, heck, probably even more front office people are talking about momentum openly more than maybe they ever have. And I think it's significant. I think it is, especially when you go back to what the Brewers are doing tonight. Now, there's also deeper numbers and there's strategy, and you can talk about, Chad Patrick going 3 scoreless last time there was an opener for him. Like, there's different parts to this, and there are different numbers and metrics that maybe they're looking at. But I think a part of it has to be momentum. And I wonder if we get another chance, if and I'm sure they'll do another opener at some point, and it's topical, I'll ask Pat Murphy about that. If momentum has something to do with the decision to start an opener. And because he talks about momentum on the offensive side, as I just mentioned, he did last night. And I got to think that is part of it, at least part of it, when it comes to tonight's decision to go with DL Hall as the opener and then Chad Patrick to follow. Want to hear from you on YouTube, X, or Facebook? Feel free to give a comment or a question or anything. Would love to hear from you, as well as the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line at 877-794-1973. When we come back, some injury updates on some key members of the Crew from Detroit. We'll get those. And we'll get into those. And also a few notes on the Brewers offense, and specifically 3 players that are, to me, one of the biggest, if not the biggest reason they have been able to stay afloat and are 13-9 right now without Yelich, without Churio, and without Vaughn. That is all coming up next. You're listening to the Baseball Pregame Show, getting you set for Brewers and Tigers, Game 2 of the series at 5:40 at Comerica Park in Detroit. It's the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded. I'm Hunter Baumgardt on Fox Sports 920.
Welcome back to the Baseball Pregame Show on Fox Sports 920. Presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Here's your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
Brewers and Tigers at Comerica Park in Detroit tonight. 5:40 first pitch. We're about 40 minutes away from first pitch in Detroit. DL Hall getting the start for the Crew as the opener. Chad Patrick likely to follow, and Casey Mize on the mound for the Detroit Tigers. Give you some details on Casey Mize here in just a little bit. Want to start with a couple of injury updates so far that we have gotten out of Detroit here this afternoon from Pat Murphy's pregame press conference. And let's start with an update on Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester is actually going to be making a start in about 35 minutes for AAA Nashville. Yeah, that is good news. Hey, he is going to be scheduled for about 3 innings, 45 to 50 pitches tonight in Charlotte, according to Todd Rosiak of the Journal-Sentinel. Make sure to follow him for all your Brewers coverage as well. Quinn Priester scheduled for 3 innings, 45 to 50 pitches tonight in Charlotte. As for how quickly Priester might progress, Pat Murphy said, quote, "I think it's still going to be a while. I don't think we can get our hopes up too high. I still think it's encouraging news." Now, also, he is also going to get basically, let's see here. He'll make at least 3 rehab starts, and then the Brewers could consider activating him as early as May 9th. So if you play it out, if he's making at least 3 more rehab starts per Adam McCalvy, who just tweeted this out, he would be making his rehab starts April 22nd, which is today, April 28th, and May 3rd. And then if he is ready, looks like the earliest he could be ready is like May 9th. So that is, 2.5 weeks away from Quinn Priester possibly rejoining the rotation. And you say, where is he going to fit in the rotation? Well, that's the great problem that the Brewers have, right? 10 straight games where their starters have not given up more than 2 earned runs. That is a great streak they got going, and great to have the problem that they do have with a guy like Coleman Crowe, who could maybe, earned probably another start, but there's no room for him, or Logan Henderson, or Robert Gasser, or now Quinn Priester. So hopefully all goes smoothly with his rehab start starting tonight. Again, about 3 innings, 45, 50 pitches in Nashville. Well, they're playing in Charlotte tonight. That's where Nashville is playing. So that is where he is going to be pitching tonight. So we'll keep an eye on that. Follow me on socials at Hunter B on air for updates on that, especially over on X. Also, another note today was Jackson Chourio. According to Todd Rosiak of the Journal-Sentinel, Jackson Chourio took his first swings on the field earlier today, and all went well. Pat Murphy said, quote, "We'll see where he's at after this weekend," adding there will be a mix of traject work, live BP, and so forth moving forward. And then they're going to reassess him, according to Adam McCalvy of MLB.com. He'll be reassessed after this weekend regarding his readiness for a rehab assignment. So I would think, and Sophia Minard had mentioned this on the broadcast last night too, that it sounds like Jackson Chourio has a chance to go on a rehab assignment as early as next week, which is really good. So great to hear that all went well with the swinging today. Of course, something to keep in mind is that, the check swing is what was bothering him in that exhibition series against the Reds before the season started. And then he obviously had some pain with that, and they got the image, and everything happens from there. But, so it'll be interesting to see how he feels when he checks the swing. I wonder if he's been doing that work out there as well, but that is a significant hurdle that he'll have to cross. However, it sounds like good news so far on Jackson Chourio. So that is great. In the meantime, though, the Brewers are 13-9, and their other 2 hitters outside of their top 5 are producing at a high rate. And in order for the Brewers to be 13-9 at this stage of the season, with the injuries that you've had, when you lose 3 of your top 5 hitters, as we've heard Pat Murphy say multiple times, and it's the truth, in order for the Brewers to be this good at 13-9 and in the mix in the NL Central and not doing what maybe the Mets are doing or even the Phillies are doing, to not be at that level, you had to have your other 2 top 5 hitters perform. Meaning, if Yelich, Churio, and Vaughn are out, that's 3 of your top 5 hitters. Who are your other 2? Turang and Contreras. And you needed those 2 guys to perform during this time if you were going to keep this offense afloat. And boy, have they ever, especially Bryce Turang. Let's go through Bryce Turang's ranks in the National League so far this season, okay? Because he's top 10 in like every major category. He's 10th in RBIs. He's 10th in batting average. He is 8th in slugging. But then he is tied for 5th in runs, tied for 5th in stolen bases, tied for 4th in walks, and he's 2nd in on-base percentage. So he is top 10 in RBI, batting average, stolen base, on-base, slugging, walks, and runs in the National League. That, my friends, is very, very, very good. And a big reason why the Brewers are where they are. How about William Contreras, your other top 5 hitter who's in the lineup? He doesn't have the numbers as far as the NL ranks go as much as Bryce Turang, but he is 9th in batting average at 308 on the season. So he's actually a little better at batting average than Bryce Turang is. He's 9th in on-base percentage as well at 393. He's tied for 11th in doubles. But then if you just look at his team ranking, so on the Brewers, William Contreras has the best batting average. He's 3rd in on-base. He's 3rd in slugging. He's 3rd in runs on the team. Those 2 are leading the team as you need them to be, leading the offense as you need them to be. Also, the starters have been great. As I mentioned, 10 straight games where the starters haven't given up more than 2 earned runs. That's another big reason why the Brewers are 13-9. And the bullpen's starting to find its footing in the last few games, and they've won 5 of 6. And the bullpen has kind of found their footing in the last 5 of 6. That's a key reason why the Brewers have won as well. But the Brewers would not be where they are if Bryce Turang and William Contreras weren't doing what they're doing. And you also have to add to the mix one other guy, and he's not in the top 5 as of right now, but he could be by the end of the season or heck, in just a couple of months, and that's Garrett Mitchell. And obviously, if you look at the batting lineup specifically right now, he is in the top 5 of the lineup. He's batting 5th tonight. By the way, I just look at this lineup, and I'm thinking to myself, you add Churio, Yelich, and Vaughn, and Garrett Mitchell's doing what he's doing, and Frelick comes out of the funk. Oh, wow. Yeah, look out, folks. Look out below. But anyway, back to Garrett Mitchell on the Baseball Pregame Show here on WOKY AM Milwaukee, Fox Sports 920. Good to have you along. Back to Garrett Mitchell. The guy's hitting 273, and he has a 437 on-base percentage. You want to know where that ranks in Major League Baseball? So let's not say NL. Let's not say team rankings. Let's say Major League Baseball. Every single player in Major League Baseball, he is 3rd in on-base. He is 1st in the National League in on-base percentage. Garrett Mitchell at 437. He is also hitting 273, as I mentioned. He's also tied for 7th in walks in the National League as well. The really strange part about Garrett Mitchell's season so far is his strikeouts. He has 27 strikeouts this season, and that leads Milwaukee. That leads the Brewers. It's tied for 14th in the NL. But it leads Milwaukee. And the next closest on the Brewers to 27 strikeouts is at 20. So he has 7 more strikeouts than anybody else on the Brewers. But he leads the National League in on-base percentage. So how does this happen? Well, look at the BABIP, as they call it. You're like, Hunter, the who? The what? And I don't always dig into the deep numbers here on this. I usually stay pretty surface level. The normal numbers, I don't dig too deep. I look at them and I'm keeping on them, but overall I tend to look at the more surface numbers. But this is a little more, and the Brewers put this in the game notes today, that BABIP is batting average on balls in play. So the balls that you put in play, what is your batting average on those balls? Garrett Mitchell's at 519. And that is by far the best in baseball. And that is why he has an average of 273 with the amount of strikeouts that he does. Because you're thinking to yourself, 27 strikeouts, how in the world does he have a 273 batting average and a 437 on base? Because when he puts the ball in play, he gets on base. 519, over half the balls he puts in play, he gets on base from. That's batting average on balls in play. So he gets a hit on over half of the balls he puts in play at 519. Just to give you perspective, there are two guys in baseball who have a batting average on balls in play higher than 400. Andy Pages of the Dodgers at 455, and then Garrett Mitchell at 519. That is why Garrett Mitchell is doing what he's doing offensively right now. I've been saying this since spring training. Want the guy to play every day. And he's starting to, and that's really good. And it seems we're in a stretch now where Garrett Mitchell's getting everyday starts in center field. And even when, and I know Jackson Churio, sounds like things are going well. Rehab assignment probably next week. When he comes back, left field for Garrett Mitchell. All right. Left field for Jackson Churio. Left field for Jackson Churio. Let's put Jackson right over in left field. Put Garrett Mitchell in center. Keep him there. Sal in right. And that's your outfield. Churio in left. Mitchell in center. Sal in right. Now, when Yelich comes back, the occasional start for him. Maybe you throw Bowers in left sometimes. Okay, fine. But overall, that is your outfield. And I think you're going to win a lot of baseball games with that as your outfield. And Garrett Mitchell hit a triple off a lefty last night. And he's been good, in fact, better against lefties this year than righties. He's hitting 333 against lefties. We brought it up, I think it was on last week's pregame shows. So this is why the offense has been, now, has it been prolific? No. But like I mentioned, when you get Churio, Vaughn, and Yelich back, it can be prolific because of what these three guys are doing. And even, specifically Turang and specifically Contreras. All right, let's hear about, a couple of comments here come in. Joe says, Grant Anderson has been an unsung hero too. Absolutely, Joe. No doubt about it. Like I said, I think he was the turning point in the game last night. He comes into the game in the fourth inning, bases loaded, nobody out. Brewers have a three-run lead at the time. They bring out Kyle Harrison because Kyle was going to go about 75, 80 pitches. He was a little less than that, but they thought it was a good time to bring in Grant. Gets the double play. I know a run scores, but then he gets the next guy. And to get out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam with one run scored is an absolute win. And I think that was the turning point in the fourth inning last night. That's how, and then McGill comes in the sixth, and you're like, kind of all over the place, and why you go into the bullpen in the fourth. And these are kind of the reasons why, right? A turning point in a game can happen in the fourth inning. And you look at what the Brewers did after that. They went on to outscore them, 9-3 the rest of the game, including that 7-run eighth inning. So, yeah, it is, again, a great, I know they wanted to limit Kyle Harrison, but a great managerial move there by Pat Murphy. And then, like you said, Joe, what Grant Anderson has been able to do for you this year, and his ERA now sits at 2.70. He's just been consistent. He had one blip in the radar, on the radar, so to speak. And otherwise, he has been your unsung hero. Jack Stern brought that up in the postgame presser in Detroit last night as well, from Brewer Fanatic. Boss Dobler wants to get on Garrett Mitchell and say, he's going to be injured at some point. Let's just stay away from that. There's no reason to put that out there. So I know, but he's been not a Garrett Mitchell fan. So I know that I'll get that type of content from you. But look, overall, the guy's been great. And the Brewers, I'm telling you, the Brewers are going to be, he also says the perfect time to trade him. Absolutely not. No, and no again. The center field is a place where the Brewers need a hitter. Garrett Mitchell would solve that issue, and you have left field and Churio. It would put Yelich at DH. I mean, think of the lineup you would then have. I know the left side of the infield, I get it. But everywhere else you'd be confident, right? Contreras behind the plate. Jake Bowers at first base. Bryce Turang at second base. Well, Andrew Vaughn, you'd have at first base. Jake Bauers, Andrew Vaughn platoon, however you want to put it. Left field, Churio. Center field, Mitchell. Right field, Frelick. Sign me up. All right, on the other side, we'll get you the fast facts, some things to make you smarter before the Brewers take on the Tigers tonight as you watch or listen to the ball game. Dig into a little more to Casey Mize, who is on the mound for the Tigers tonight. What can we expect from him? We'll get to that in a moment. This is the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded right here on Fox Sports 920.
Milwaukee takes the field in a matter of minutes. It's time to take a look at tonight's lineup on the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Here's Hunter Baumgardt.
Getting you set for Brewers and Tigers at Comerica Park in Detroit. It is a 5:40 first pitch tonight. Couple of programming notes. I'll talk to you tomorrow night for our weekly get-together for Milwaukee baseball tonight. It'll be 6 until 7 tomorrow. Looking forward to it. We'll look back at the series finale between the Brewers and the Tigers in the afternoon. It's a 12:10 first pitch, so an early start for the Brewers tomorrow, but I'll be with you after the game tomorrow. Not immediately after the game, but tomorrow night, 6 until 7 for Milwaukee baseball tonight. And then right here, we've got our NFL draft coverage tomorrow night as well, starting at 7 o'clock. Bill Schmid, Wayne Larrivee will break down every pick of the first round, and looking forward to that coming up tomorrow. I know the Packers don't have a pick, but you know, in the really off chance they've traded to the first round, or just, hey, what players could be available day 2 for the Packers? You know, all those discussions will be had, I'm sure, by Bill and Wayne tomorrow. Tonight, we got 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock faceoff. The Milwaukee Admirals begin their playoff run. They are in Manitoba to face the Moose, and that is a 7 o'clock faceoff. Aaron Sims on the call. We'll have it for you right here on Fox Sports 920. If you're driving around 9:20 a.m. Milwaukee, you can listen on the iHeartRadio app on Fox Sports 920. And, of course, always FSR920.com/listen. But again, Fox Sports 920 on the iHeartRadio app, or 9:20 a.m. in Milwaukee. You can listen to Milwaukee Admirals playoff hockey tonight as they face the Manitoba Moose, and it is going to be awesome to have that on the air tonight. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock face-off Central Time. Game 1, it's a 3-game series, all up there in Winnipeg, so they are going to need to win 2 out of the 3 to earn another series in the playoffs. So game 1 is tonight. Then Friday is game 2, same time, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock face-off on Fox Sports 920. And then Sunday, if necessary, is a 2 o'clock face-off as well. Just a couple of programming notes. And, of course, tomorrow morning, it'll be the Huddle with Drew, Billy, and Armin at 5 a.m. All right, let's get you the lineup one more time before we say goodbye for this Wednesday evening edition of the Baseball Pregame Show. And let's get you the starting lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers. And it goes like this. Leading off at second base, Bryce Terang. Batting second behind the plate, William Contreras. Batting third at first base, Jake Bauers. Batting fourth, the DH, Gary Sanchez. He's the cleanup hitter. Batting fifth in center field, Garrett Mitchell. Batting sixth in left field, Brandon Lockridge. Batting seventh in right field, Sal Frelick. Batting eighth at third base, David Hamilton. And batting ninth at shortstop is Joey Ortiz. For the Brewers, it's Terang, Contreras, Bauers, Sanchez, Mitchell, Lockridge, Frelick, Hamilton, and Ortiz. For the Tigers, they line up like this. Leading off at third base, Kevin McGonigal. Batting second at second base, Gleyber Torres. Batting third as a designated hitter is Jahmai Jones. Batting fourth, the left fielder, Riley Green. He's the cleanup hitter. Batting fifth at first base, Spencer Torkelson. Batting sixth in center field, Wensiel Perez. Batting seventh in right field, Kerry Carpenter. Batting eighth at shortstop, Javi Baez. And batting ninth behind the plate, Jake Rogers. For the Tigers, it's McGonigal, Torres, Jones, Green, Torkelson, Perez, Carpenter, Baez, and Rogers. Brewers 13-9, Tigers 12-12. Brewers going with an opener tonight. I mentioned earlier, we kind of dove into why they might go with an opener. But DL Hall, the lefty on the mound to start the game, he is 0-0 with a 2.79 ERA. It is his first time starting. By the way, this is the 10th starter the Brewers have used this year that is tied for most starters used in baseball with the Houston Astros, who have also used 10. Casey Mize, the right-hander on the mound for the Detroit Tigers tonight. He is 1-1 with a 2.78 ERA. Last time out against Boston was his best outing of the season. He went 6 2/3, didn't allow an earned run, walked just 1, and struck out 7. So that is quite impressive, and the Brewers are going to hope to do a little better. His worst outing was April 6th at Minnesota. He went 4 1/3 and gave up 5 earned runs, walked 3, struck out 4. So hoping that is more the Casey Mize we see tonight from a Brewers perspective. Some fast facts here tonight to make you a little smarter as you watch or listen to tonight's ball game. How about Trevor McGill has not given up an earned run in his last 3 outings? And get this, over his last 3 outings, including last night's scoreless 6th inning, 5 strikeouts, no walks. That has been huge. No walks, no earned runs over 3 straight outings for Trevor McGill. That has got to get that confidence going up, and that is really good for him. And I mentioned this earlier, but bears mentioning one more time, Brewers starters, 10 straight games without allowing more than 2 earned runs. And also, one more note I want to add, Bryce Terang has reached safely in all 20 of his games so far this season. He's batting .307 on the year. We talked about where he ranks in the National League in the big categories. But the 20 games straight to reach base safely to start a season is the 3rd longest on base streak to begin a season in franchise history at 20. Now, the next is second most is Robin Yount, who did it in 1983 with 23 games. The record is Ryan Braun in 2011 at 28 games. So we'll see if Bryce Terang can get on base again tonight. Again, all 20 games that Bryce Terang has played in, he's gotten on base so far this year. Boss Dobler with a couple of things, asking how long of a leash for Hall. I would think 2 innings. And then you see Chad, maybe he pitches a little bit into the 3rd, tries to get through all those lefties, and then bada bing, bada boom. Hopefully then Chad Patrick comes in. Remember, Chad Patrick, last time he was used after an opener, 3 scoreless innings. And then Boss Dobler saying we're the yin and the yang regarding Mitchell. Yeah, absolutely we are. But hey, Brewers are better because of him. That's all I got to say. So appreciate all the interaction on YouTube. No doubt about it. And once again, the huddle will react to whatever happens tonight. I'll talk to you Milwaukee baseball tonight, 6 to 7 tomorrow. We got draft coverage tomorrow. And again, 7 o'clock face-off tonight, Milwaukee Admirals, Manitoba Moose, game 1 of their playoff series. I appreciate you listening. Brewers and Tigers at 5:40 tonight from Comerica Park. We'll send you back to Fox Sports for a little bit before Milwaukee Admirals programming here on Fox Sports 920. This has been the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27, just north of 894. Have a wonderful evening as the Brewers take on the Tigers. Have a good evening.